Yo, man, so Derrick Jaxn's ex-wife Denia was on the Dead Future Wifey's podcast, and she explained pretty much what we already knew, but hearing the details coming from her was crazy as hell. And after all this, I don't know if Derrick Jaxn is a failure or an actual success story, because we're witnessing a villain have a happy ending, bro. Like in real time, for this chapter at least. Now, Derrick Jaxn eventually filed for divorce even when he broke this lady down to the tiniest atom. So check out this clip real quick, man.
What did that do to you?
I became a shell of myself. I didn't know who I was. I actually have a couple posts on my page where I have a post that says, I knew her body better than I knew my own.
Stop. Let that sit there. You said you knew another woman's body better than you knew your own.
Yes, several women. I knew several other women's bodies better than I knew my own. And I spent a lot of time, like I went in such a deep hole where I was like studying these women. I would go to their profiles and I would study their pages and like what they wear. I knew when they had met up. So I watched their videos of them having sex. So I would try to imitate that and recreate that in our relationships so that he could choose me and want me. And that is a low point to be. And I'm tearing up a little bit because I hate that I even got to a point where that was a thing, but that it was just that. And so I knew several other women's bodies better than I knew my own. I completely lost myself. I became a shell of myself. I tried to imitate their hair, their actions, even sexual things that I had seen him doing with them. I tried to recreate that in our life when we were engaged, and none of it amounted to anything. Anyway, we were still engaging sexually, even though we were off, right? And so it was in this time where there was a lineup of us. We was passing each other on the stairway in and out.
No, y'all wasn't. No, y'all was not passing
You think this is a game.
You were not passing each other on the stairway. No, y'all was.
We were passing each other on the stairway. Like, this is my shift from this time to this time. So, I was a willing participant in that. And this is, like, I can laugh about it now, but it's really sad, to, like, what space you have to be in to accept that. And so I dealt with it already, so I could laugh about it now. And it's funny,
that's what healing looks like.
Right?
You look back at your old self and laugh.
I'm just like, what? But no, seriously. It was, I'm coming over at this time. I know such and such is going to be rolling through about, an hour and a half later. Yeah. And sometimes we went a little bit longer. So literally passing each other on the stairs, like out the door. All right, have fun, your shift. and literally. And so there was a lot of people involved at that time. We weren't in a relationship. So all the people that like committed relationships. So I was just on the rotation at the time, and I ended up getting pregnant with our first child. And it was in that I was like, okay, Danae, you got to figure out what you're doing with your life. You are whole pregnant, and you can't get rid of this child, because I had already had 3 abortions before, and the Lord had already dealt with me. And I was like, Lord, if you save me from this, I'm not going to ever do this again. Got pregnant. I was like, I can't go back on my word, Lord. I don't want you to kill me. Yeah. But so I started, okay, I got to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And then I started getting a little bit more serious. Like, what are we doing? He was still doing, stuff with other girls. I knew about it. So I did still participate in some sexual activity and all that, knowing that he was with other girls. I was a willing participant.
Now, even though she was in that crazy ass position, the lady still continued to fight. Now, the story she told about marriage counseling, that shit was wild as hell.
Did you ever find out how many women he actually cheated on you with?
As a whole in marriage?
In, out, or whatever. Was there ever a moment that y'all had a come to Jesus moment where he sat down and said, listen, to my knowledge, this is how many women I've slept with?
Okay, so part of the recovery process where we were in the program for infidelity and all that is discovery. And in discovery, it's like we've trickled out a lot of information. Now it's time to go to level 0, ground zero, they call it. And so he had to make a list. And so he made a list of women to everything that he could recollect, and there was nearly 100 women on there. And so
you talking about the 100? Where you going back
that he
to?
wrote on the list. Now
You talking about why y'all? You talking about in his lifetime, or you talking about why y'all were dealing with each other?
Okay, so we have to define these things. So I did not do a good job at defining if it was the lifetime of his lifetime or if it was specific to just
Well, heck, he been dating you since he was 19.
right. So in my mind, to me, that's a lifetime, right?
Yeah,
in my mind. So I'm thinking at least since we have met.
This makes me wonder if she felt like she didn't want to leave due to his status at that point. Not saying it's the only factor, but I believe it's hard to walk away from a certain lifestyle. But nevertheless, she must bear a share of some responsibility for staying in that situation. But it all goes back to Derrick Jaxn, because not only was he wild as hell in his marriage, it's still shocking that he built his platform on teaching women about avoiding men that behave like him. But once again, I think he feels no shame, because at this point, it was all a game to that boy. Like, just think about it, man. If he can prey on the insecurities of a woman who he named his wife, then why should he care about manipulating strangers? Especially when it comes with benefits like a bunch of money and an abundance of ass. Like, come on now. All while having a wife who would never leave you? This is all crazy as hell, man. It's crazy as hell. But go ahead and check out the rest of the interview on the Dear Future Wife podcast. In the meantime, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, though. It's your boy, Stacy. Yo.